Welcome back from your break. I can hear some
am I the only one who's hearing some echo? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So, okay, now I understand why, because I was using my cell phone. So, two microphones at the same time on. All right, so break's over. I was sorry. I was telling you about. Let me go back. And this time I'm going to share with sound. Okay, so this is the video that I wanted to share with you. We're going to focus on three comparisons. This YouTuber is going to be speaking in the first case about a difference between a speaker from Australia and another speaker from New Zealand. Okay, then he's going to give us an example of a speaker from North England, or the north part of England, and another one from the south part of England. And in the third case, he will be describing a variety called Geordie from England and another variety called Brummy. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention. I want you to listen first. And he's going to give an example. Like, this is the sentence that you need to ask someone from Australia and New Zealand to tell if he is from Australia or from New Zealand. And he's going to give a specific difference. Okay, so I want you to write the difference between these three cases, and ideally the sentence that this YouTuber gives as an example for testing if the speaker is from the north part of England or the south part of England, if is a speaker speaking Geordie or Brummy. Let me know if you can hear the video first.
Hi, my name is Eric Singer. I'm a dialect coach. You may have seen me here before. It's accent performances in movies. What did Texas?
Yes, we can see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
A little bit towards the middle of the mouth, and you get something closer to a schwa, American accent, for instance, something like an I sound.
Okay, here we go with the first case.
We can use the kit vowel. In Australia, there's a realization that is not too far off from my own American accent, for instance, something like an I sound. An Australian might say that something like this.
Myth, myth, myth.
New Zealanders tend to centralize this sound. So instead of the tongue being arched up a little bit towards the front of the mouth, it's relaxed down a little bit towards the middle of the mouth, and you get something closer to a schwa, kut. You can hear that here.
Myth, myth, myth,
Myth,
and myth,
myth.
and myth.
So there's one actually very famous phrase that you can use that you could ask somebody at a cocktail party, say, to pronounce, to try to tell whether they're an Australian or a New Zealander if you're not sure. And that phrase would be fish and chips. An Australian might say that something like this.
Fish and chips, fish and chips, fish and chips.
Whereas the New Zealand version might sound more like this.
Fish and chips, fish and chips, fish and chips,
Fish and chips,
fish and chips,
fish and chips.
fish and chips.
Number two, how to tell somebody from the north of England from somebody from the south of England. Many accents in both places, of course, but the cool thing is you can draw a line straight across England. North of that line, strut words like cup, under, mother, love, son, are going to have a vowel sound something like very similar to the vowel sound named foot words like wood, butcher, woman, look. Here is a Northern English person, and you can hear their strut vowel.
Cop, cop, cop.
In the South, there are going to be two different vowels. One is strut and one is foot, and they won't sound the same. Here's a speaker from the South.
Cup, cup, cup.
From the North.
Mother, mother, mother. Som, som, som.
From the South.
Fun, fun, fun.
Som,
Fun,
som.
fun.
So if you meet somebody and you're pretty sure that their accent is from somewhere in England, but you want to know whether it's from the North or from the South, you could ask them to say the following phrase. Did you cut your foot? From the North.
Cut your foot, cut your foot, cut your foot,
From the South.
Cut your foot, cut your foot, cut your foot,
cut your foot,
cut your foot,
cut your foot.
cut your foot.
So, of course, there are many different Northern English accents. Two famous ones are Geordie from Newcastle and Brummie from Birmingham. One way that you could potentially tell a Geordie accent from a Brummie accent would be to take the face vowel. A Brummie is going to have a sound that's kind of similar to a London sound. It's a diphthong. It's a vowel sound that starts and ends up E, moves from I, it takes a journey. So if you hear something like this,
Great cakes, great, great, great.
you're dealing with a Brummie. If you hear something that's much more monophthongal, something like this,
Great cakes. Great, great, great.
then you're dealing with a Geordie. Phrase could be, David bakes great cakes. You can hear that here.
David bakes great cakes.
David bakes great cakes,
Bakes great cakes.
bakes great cakes.
Bakes great cakes.
Next up, New York and Boston.
Your foot.
Cut your foot.
All right, before we move on, let's take a look at the notes that you made, and let me know the differences between an Australian and someone from New Zealand. What are the differences that you were able to pick? What was the phrase?
I don't get the phrase, but I realized that the difference between the E sound and the in Australia they say words like with E, and in New Zealand they say something like like a.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought you were going to finish the idea. E and exactly. Short lax E and a schwa, right? So I guess it would say, sorry, E in Australia and in New Zealand. The phrase was, anyone got it? I mean, not a big deal, but I was fish and chips, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fish and chips. So the short lax E by an Australian speaker would be pronounced with a schwa. That was one of the main, one of the differences that these YouTuber spotted or explained for us. What about the next one? The difference between someone from the north of England and someone from the south of England.
He mentioned the straight vowel and the U and in up, for example, in the north and cup in the south. And the phrase was cut your foot. Your foot, right?
Yeah, exactly. Cut your foot, exactly. Sorry, so which one was for North England? Was the vowel in foot or the vowel in, or the wedge?
No, the U. No, not the wedge.
Okay, the U for North England,
The U,
and
yeah, the wedge for the south.
All right. So I was thinking about maybe some words like, for example, some or love. So someone from the south of England or in the south of England would say some and love with a wedge, whereas in the north part of England would produce someone more like sum or love, or maybe love and som. So I was thinking about the vowel because sometimes it sounds not necessarily as u, as in foot, right? But also as this one, love, som. Okay. So and what about the last two dialects, the Geordie and the Brummie from Newcastle and Birmingham, respectively? What were some of the differences?
In the Brummie, they use, for example, they use the word great, but in the Brummie, they say like great, and the Geordie said something like great.
Okay. Like a long A, great. And the Brummie used a diphthong, right? Was it A or I?
Yeah, I.
I. Okay, catch. Let me get the correct symbol here. Okay. And the example given, the test, how to test a Geordie and a Brummie was David something. David, gosh, bakes. Okay, I got it. Did you get it? Was it like this? It was. So David bakes great. David bakes great cakes for a Brummie, and David bakes great cakes, something like that, for a Geordie. Difficult to produce. Okay, so far, how was the exercise? Was it easy for you to spot the difference, the dialectal differences?
Yeah, because he is explaining, but probably it's more difficult if we have to like spot the difference. If you, for example, play an audio and we have to, probably will be more difficult.
Oh, interesting. Let's see if we can try that.
I'd say that's something like this.
Okay. Next one, I think, is right here. Give me a second, please.
Your foot.
Cut your foot.
Cut your foot.
Cut your foot.
So, of course, there are many different Northern English accents. Two famous ones are Geordie. If you hear something that's much more
Great kicks.
Bakes great cakes.
Bakes great kicks.
Next up, New York and Boston.
Are you still listening to the video? Can you listen to the video?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So let's pay attention to someone from New York and Boston. They still have a segmental difference, meaning that it's about specific sounds, individual sounds, like consonant or vowel sounds. I think in this case is vowel sounds. Let's take a look at it.
Now, this one's probably easier to hear and place if you're American, probably less so if you're not an American. The lot vowel is going to be very open, fronted, no lip rounding in a New York accent. Lot, hot, not, God. Here's a New York speaker.
Not, not, not.
it's going to be a little bit lip-rounded in a Boston accent, so more like law, God. Here's a Boston speaker.
Not, not, not,
Not.
not,
Not.
not.
So here's a phrase you could ask somebody to say. That's not a lot of pots. If they say it with an ah, that's not a lot of pots, they're probably from New York.
That's not a lot of pots. That's not a lot of pots.
If they say it with an ah, that's not a lot of pots, that's Boston.
That's not a lot of pots. That's not a lot of pots.
That's not a lot of pots.
That's not a lot of pots.
That's not a lot of pots.
That's not a lot of pots.
Next up, New York City and Philadelphia. So both New York City and Philadelphia raise the trap vowel in.
All right, so comparing a New York speaker, English speaker, right, and Boston speakers, the difference that you were able to understand or identify was let me see if I can hear someone from the audience. Carlos, is your microphone working?
Sir, can you repeat the question?
Yes, the YouTuber was comparing two dialectal varieties. Which were the differences that were identified between these two varieties?
Oh, the vowels. In this case, in New York, they talk, they pronounce the O like an A, like an A, sorry. And in the other place, I'm not good with names. They pronounce it like an O sound. And in the second case, I didn't hear it, sorry.
Alrighty, so how would New York or someone from New York would say the word that I posted in the chat box? Someone from New York. If you could imitate a speaker from New York. And which would be the difference from a speaker from Boston? According to the explanation given.
Which word? The word Boston?
Yes.
Yes.
Boston with an A sound. Boston.
Boston, all right. All right. Boston, right? And the Boston speaker would say?
Boston, I guess.
All right. So that would be the difference between, let me see if I'm sharing this. Yes. That would be the difference between a long A for a New Yorker, right? And short lax O for someone from Boston. Alrighty. So this is sort of preparing the field, preparing the to the task that is coming, right? That I'm going to explain in some more minutes. In this following video, you will hear someone from the Philippines, right? This video, I am going to post the full link so you can watch it entirely if you wish. But I want to watch it from 8:40.
Between American English and British English. How about in the Philippines?
Okay, so the Philippines. He is going to describe how English in Philippines should be called Philippine English, and in which way there are some expressions used by Philippine speakers, right? And he's going to make a comparison between General American, and Philippine English. So in the first part, he's going to describe some of the words that they use as English speakers. And in the second part, a comparison between Filipino English and American English. All right. So grab a pencil, take some notes, and see if you can remember some of the words that he used to describe Filipino English. Here we go.
We also have our own variety of English, which is known to be Philippine English or Filipino English. It is the English language as used in the Philippines, a state of Southeast Asia consisting of more than 7,000 islands. Philippine English is a legitimate nativized variety of English. It is a language used by Filipinos in controlling domains such as in science and technology, judiciary, legislature, bureaucracy, higher education, scholarly discourse, and the like. While it shares some of the linguistic properties ascribed to other varieties of English, especially those used in Asia, it has features that are unique to it. Only in the Philippines do we eat dirty ice cream, cook in dirty kitchens, get kilig over romantic movies, and we watch with our barkada and pay KKB when we dine in Carinderia, where we are asuki. The rest of the English-speaking world, however, may now use these Philippine English terms, which are among the latest additions in the Oxford English Dictionary, like barkada, which means a group of friends; buko juice, which means a drink made from the clear, watery liquid inside unripe coconut; carnapper, which means a car thief or a person who steals a motor vehicle; despedida, which means more fully despedida party or a social event honoring someone who is about to depart on a journey or leave an organization; dirty kitchen, which means a kitchen where everyday cooking is done by household staff; gimmick, which means a night out with friends; halo-halo, which means a dessert made of mixed fruits, sweet beans, milk, and shaved ice; kikay, which means a girl or woman interested in beauty products and fashion; KKB, or kanya-kanyang bayan, literally each one pays their own; mabuhay, which means an exclamation of salutation or greeting; pandesal, which means a yeast-raised bread roll made of flour, eggs, sugar, and salt; pulutan, which means food or snacks provided as an accompaniment to alcoholic drinks; sinigang, or in Filipino cookery, it is a type of soup made with meat, shrimp, or fish and flavored with a sour ingredient such as tamarind or guava; suki, a buyer or seller involved in an arrangement whereby a customer regularly purchases products or services from the same provider in exchange for favorable treatment; utang na loob, which means a sense of obligation to return a favor owed to someone. Now, here are some differences in terms of pronunciation between American English and Philippine English. For American English, it's Indian, while for the Philippine English, it's Indian. For American English, mountain; Philippine English, mountain; American English, cupboard; Philippine English, cupboard; American English, calcium; Philippine English, calcium; American English, potassium; Philippine English, potassium; American English, restaurant; Philippine English, restaurant; American English, coupon; Philippine English, coupon; American English, new; Philippine English, new; American English, spinach; Philippine English, spinach. American English, backpack. Philippine English, backpack. American English, ingredient. Philippine English, ingredient. American English, Facebook. Philippine English, Facebook.
All right, let's share whatever you found to be interesting. Alejandra Gonzalez, anything that called your attention from the speech about Filipino English? Okay, I got a message from Alejandro Gonzalez. Anything that you consider to be interesting from a linguistic point of view, from a phonetic, yes, Guillermo?
In my case, I consider that the word dirty kitchen is like, I don't know, doesn't make me sense.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I also had the same perception. Anything else besides dirty kitchen?
That even though when Spanish is not influencing the Tagalog like it used to do in the past, it's still present in the English word because they're mixed with Spanish. Something that I didn't think that it could happen today because the Spanish are not in the island anymore. They left that place almost like a after a couple of decades. So that's something that surprised me nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not all aware of that, there's a heavy Spanish influence in the Philippines as they were for, I think, about 100 years there as a colony, and for the same reason that Spain was, and not only Spain, but many of the colonial powers were just getting all the resources from the colonies. And yep, you can find this linguistic influence still present. I took notes of words like despedida, pan de sal, right? So that was also something that was very impressive for me when the first time I watched this video. What if you remember? Do you remember the expression kike? Kike. I'm writing this in the chat box.
Yeah.
Do you remember the meaning?
It was something related to a fashion, like a person who liked fashion or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
It was like specifically a woman who are interested in buying beauty products because
Exactly. Do we have a word for that in Spanish? In our Chilean dialect?
I don't think so because that is very specific for it's like it sounds like a German word, like very specific, and like in Chile we don't have that kind of words, I guess.
Yeah, I was also thinking about that. If you know a word to refer to the same idea, a woman who is interested in buying beauty products and it's very interesting in fashion, let us know, right? Another expression was KKB. Do you remember that expression? Do we have one like that? I mean, as I'm part of an older generation, I remember that before when we went out with some friends and everyone was buying his own drinks and food, not paying for someone else's expenses. We called that a la americana. So a la americana meant that each one was paying for his or her own food and drinks, right? So do you have any like KKB now? When you go out and have a party with your friends and each one buys you know, your own food and drinks. Do you have an expression like that nowadays? All right. Maybe.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. All right. Now, what about the second part in which the speaker was comparing the U.S. or the general American pronunciation? I'm sure there are some things that you may disagree, but and he was comparing those expressions with the pronunciation in Filipino English. Anything that caught your attention? I didn't know that one, Miss Sofia Contreras. Pagarascote. Expressions change, right? Depending on the generation. I remember some of the words like mountain, coupon, Facebook. I think they it was what was it? Facebook. I think it was Facebook with the p, with a plosive, right? So that is yes. Okay, so I thought it was something I misinterpreted. So there were many interesting differences when he was comparing two dialects. The one who is supposed to be from the inner circle, the general American English, and Filipino English, which is supposed to be, what do you think, from the outer circle or the expanding circle? Filipino English.
Out of the circle?
The outer circle, exactly. The outer circle. Excellent. So, well, all this information is for an oral report, right? That was the surprise. This oral report consists of a comparative analysis between two dialects, okay? For this dialect, the idea is, let me put this in order. This is an oral report. You don't have to turn in anything written, okay? So what you need to do is first you need to decide whether you're going to be working individually or in pairs. Okay? If you decide to work individually, you will have to pick two different dialects. Okay? Let me see if we can go to the church model. One dialect from one circle and the other dialect from another circle. So, for example, you can pick one dialect from Australia and another one from South Africa. or a Chinese speaker, and someone from Kenya. Okay, you need to choose 2 dialects from different circles: inner, outer, expanding. Okay. Now, if you decide to work in pairs, which is my suggestion, one of you takes one dialect, right? Dialect 1, and the other one takes the other dialect, dialect 2. So you're going to give a description of each dialect, dialect 1 and dialect 2, and then you're going to make a comparison between those 2 dialects. Okay, sometimes these dialects will have or share a similar historical background. Sometimes they will have the same dependence, or they would have been colonies from the same country, for example, from Britain. Okay, sometimes the historical information that you can provide could be different. But to have an idea how language was inserted into the country, or was officially recognized by the state, or if, for example, in the case of Chile, there are some government policies to promote or boost English as a language, even though still a foreign language. The efforts are that English can become a second language in the country. Okay. Also, in your oral report, you should include if there are other languages spoken. For example, if you decide on giving your oral report about India, in India, English is an officially recognized language or dialect, but there are others that have the same or hold the same linguistic status. Okay, so which other languages are spoken, and if language became a second language, how long has it been a second language in that specific country? Okay, so in general, languages, which ones, how many, how long, etc., etc. Which is connected with the next idea, speakers. How many speakers of English as a native language are there in the country? How many speakers as a second language, English, speakers of English as second language? How many speakers of other languages? So you may use, I don't know, a pie chart, right? Maybe you can show us this, or pizza, they call it pizza chart, someone, right? And then you can say, all right, like 25% of the speakers speak this language, and 75% of the speakers speak this other variety. Okay. Then in your description, you should mention some characteristics of the dialect. For example, you can include expressions, right, used by the speakers. Just like the speaker in the video about the Philippine English mentioned hello, hello, kike, dirty kitchen, pan de sal, puluta. I remember puluta for the word that we have, maybe picadillo, right? When we prepare chips and other things to eat while we're waiting for someone in a cocktail or party. Puluta, right? So in the characteristics of the dialect, you may refer to some vocabulary, right? And the way that these words are pronounced, right? A few samples, right? And in the end, this could be part of the comparison, right? When you analyze the linguistic samples provided, as in the second part of the video that we were watching about the Filipino English, that he was comparing Indian and Indian, right? Restaurant and restaurant. I think, I don't remember exactly the pronunciation of the Filipino version. Facebook and Facebook, right? And then refer to these expressions and in which way they are different or similar, okay? Because sometimes when you provide the analysis, you're going to find some similarities, but also some differences, right? maybe at some point a Venn diagram. It's going to be interesting to use either for the presentation or for you to prepare your presentation. Are you familiar with the concept of a Venn diagram?
Yeah.
Excellent. Dialect 1, which has some characteristics, right? Dialect 2, that also has other characteristics, but sometimes there are some similarities. These similarities are the elements that are shared by these two dialects. So this Venn diagram can help you to write on the left the characteristics of one dialect or dialect 1, on the right the characteristics of the dialect 2, and in the center all these shared elements or features. A Venn diagram is a very useful visual tool that can help you to identify the similarities and the differences between two things, right? Two animals, two concepts. Okay. So this is the comparative analysis oral report about two dialects. This is going to take place during the second assessment week. This is going to be considered the speaking test for the second assessment week. Okay, so several decisions need to be made. First, ask yourselves, am I going to work individually or in pairs? My suggestion, work in pairs. It's less work, and you have the possibility. And you have the possibility to discuss with someone else. Second, which dialects are you going to be using? Or which dialect, sorry. So whenever you, let me see. There are some interesting links that you can use. Dialectsarchive.com, which contains several samples of speakers from many different, from different continents and of course different countries. And within the countries, you will have speakers from different areas. Because if you think about a British speaker, you have to remember that in Britain there are many different dialects. Same thing in the United States, same thing in Canada, same thing in Australia. We have to give up on the idea about one standard English, and we need to think about world Englishes. So that's the point of this, that we stop understanding that there's only RP and GA, but there are many different varieties which with their own characteristics. Okay, so this link can take you to very interesting samples. In Wikipedia, there's a list of dialects of English that you can take a look at before deciding. So whenever you decide on one, try to find out in that country which other dialects are also that might be interesting for you. Okay. And here I included other YouTube, two YouTube links that can also be interesting for you in order to collect some samples. So this is a process in which there's some research involved, because after you decide if it's going to be individual or in pairs, and after you decide which dialects you are going to be working with, there's a process in which you need to collect information, collect data, download maybe some videos that you can use, and prepare this presentation that you're going to be given during the second assessment week. Please, I know that there might be some questions about the this task. I'm all ears.
Where are you sending the instructions for this? Are you sending them, right?
Yes, I'm sending the instructions. I'm sending the instructions because not everyone is here. So I feel that everyone should know because if someone is absent, sometimes there are many reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So two, because sometimes when you see the instructions written, when you read the instructions, sometimes they are clearer, or sometimes there might be some other questions when you read the instructions. Also, I need to share with you the rubric. Okay.
Teacher?
Yes.
I don't know if you said it, but is it a recording?
If I'm recording this?
No, I don't know if you mentioned that, but this oral report, is it a recording?
Well, I don't know about that. I didn't think about that. That's a very great question. That's a great question.
I asked because I think that you didn't say that, so I was like, I suppose that is a recording, but
No, I didn't say that, and I actually I was expecting this not to be a recording, but a presentation. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to upload a link in the LMS, a link that a link to this online spreadsheet that you receive a link and you can go and fill in with information. So like two columns in which in here you write your names, right? And in the second column you write the topic, like in this case the two dialects, dialect 1 and dialect 2, and also a first column for the time. So you registered just like for speaking or for interviews, and you register for this. Include your names, last names, the two dialects that you're going to be describing, and voila, there you share your presentation. You describe it. If there are questions, we may ask questions. Yeah, sort of. I was thinking about something like that.
Teacher, if
Yes.
for instance, if I choose, for example, Italian, and someone else choose Italian, I can use Italian anyways?
Yes, I'm totally okay with that. But if you choose Italian, make sure that the second dialect is not exactly the same as so there are not just Italian and for example Brummy. Okay, and that's why I was referring to. I mean, if someone chooses British dialect. In British dialects, you have Scouse, Mancunian, Brahmi, Geordie. There are so many different dialects. So if you choose a British dialect, not necessarily it's got to be the same. But if you listen, sorry, if you choose Singaporean English or Philippine English, of course. But it's totally okay if you have the same dialect, but only one. I would strongly suggest that the second one is different. That's why the link is going to be shared, so everyone is going to be able to see the chosen dialects. So, okay to repeat one, but not okay to have the same dialects. Okay.
Teacher, in that case, would you recommend, if I choose Italian, would you recommend me to try with another Romance language? I mean, languages from the same family, like to make it more easier to explain the difference?
Yeah, I understand your point, but I would recommend that the main criteria the main criterion would be that if you choose a country from one circle, according to the tourist model, right? The other one must be from another circle. Because I'm thinking about Romance languages. For example, French, Italian, Spanish. All of them are in. I'm trying to think. If I think they're in the same circle. So the criteria is the criterion is the dialects that you choose or the countries that you choose should not be in the same circle, and you should not have the same two dialects with another participants, another student, another couple. Sorry, it's 1:07. I beg your pardon for for taking up so much of your time. I'm going to send the instructions through the LMS so you can take a look at them, and I'm going to include the link so if you're already if you're really in love with Irish, or if you really want to know a little bit more about Scottish, or I don't know, you knew someone from California, or you would like to learn something more about the Indian accent, you can go ahead and immediately fill in your information in the link that I'm going to provide, okay? So wait for the instructions. Hopefully they will give more details for this task, okay? So if there are no further questions, we're going to finish the session, and I'll see you next week. But I insist, wait for the information that's going to be given through the LMS.